which was Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. They called them all Jews. Okay. Because they were the kingdom of Judah. And he said, I say then, have God cast away his people? All right. Who is his people? It says, God forbid, for I also am an Israelite. That's a cut right there. To let you know that his people, when the Lord said he came to save his people, Israelites. Okay. I said you can't get around this, the truth of the Bible when it's being rightly divided. Okay. And all praises to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. It says, I say then, have God cast away his people? God forbid, for I also am an Israelite, one of God's people, of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Jacob. All right. It says, God hath not cast away his people, which he foreknew. Wot ye not what the scripture saith of Elias, how that he maketh intercession to God against Israel, saying, Lord, they have killed thy prophets and digged down thy altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life. But what saith the answer of God unto him? I have reserved unto me 7,000 men who have not bowed a knee to the image of Baal. Even so, then, at this present time, also there is a remnant according to the election of grace. Just like now, there's a remnant according to the election of grace that is going to return, remember themselves, all right, even in their captivity where they've been lied to, hoodwinked, bamboozled, okay, and thought we were American, thought we were this or that, thought we were Negroes, thought we were Latinos, thought we were Native American, all right, that's going to return to the understanding that wait a minute. We are Hebrew Israelites. It's not a religion. That's our nationality. That's our ethnicity. That's our race, our culture. That's who we are. Okay? There's going to be a remnant that return. Can you receive this? You might be a part of that remnant if you can. Can you receive this? Because if you can't, so sad. All right, you're going to be caught up in the heathens, the actual Gentiles, punishment and judgment. You're going to get caught up in that, weeping and gnashing of teeth. Okay, but carrying on, it says, I'm going to jump down to verse 11. It says, I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid. But rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy, for to provoke the Jews who did not believe in Yahushua. Because remember those first scriptures that we got, how the chief priest and the elders, they for unbelief, they didn't have belief in the Most High God, like we read in this Matthew real quick. I'm gonna just grab it again real quick. Matthew chapter 13. Matthew, I believe it was this one. Matthew chapter 13. And let's jump down to right. Yep. It says verse 57. And they were offended in him. But Yahushua said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, save in his own country and in his own house. And he did not many mighty works there because of their unbelief. All right. The Jews, all right, who knew they were Israelites, who thought that following the law was going to make you righteous. All right. Not knowing that, hey, they offended in some of them laws too. So it was not going to make them righteous. That you had to believe in Yahushua and have faith for righteousness. Okay. So going back to this, it says that those Jews, they cut off. Those who didn't believe, cut off. And now it's going to be open unto the Israelite foreigners who y'all didn't even deal with. You Jews didn't even deal with them because they wasn't following the laws and our customs. You didn't even deal with them. All right. They wasn't supposed to at a time until it was opened back up unto them. Okay. So once it was opened back up into them, those who didn't believe in Yahushua, they didn't understand. Like, man, they sitting up here talking to these heathens, all right, who were Israelites, all right, who were called heathens, all right. So to provoke them to jealousy, to provoke the Jews to jealousy, all right. It says, verse 12, now if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and that world is cosmos, you can look it up, which cosmos means an orderly arrangement, an aggregate, all right? An aggregate is some particulars, all right, unto a whole, all right? So, and this whole was going to be the elect, all right? This world was going to be the elect, all right, first and foremost, okay, of the Israelites. So it says, now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles, all right, because the Israelite foreigners who were called Gentiles were going to come in this thing, okay? It says, how much more their fullness, all right? If now you Jews going to come back and believe, okay, in Yahushua, because a lot of the Jews didn't, okay? Now you, of course, had those who did, starting off with the 12, all right, then the other disciples, and those who believed in Yahushua, okay? It says, for I speak, verse 13, for I speak unto you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify my office, all right? Paul was the apostle of the Gentiles, of the Israelites who were called Gentiles, of those Hellenists, those Grecians, all right? And whoever else lived in any other foreign land that Paul went to. Okay? It says, if by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are of my flesh, and might save some of them. Because Paul, he was with them before and didn't believe in Yahushua. All right? Paul was persecuting the church when he was Saul. All right? Before the Lord, kicked him off that donkey and blinded him, for those, for that time that he blinded him and came unto him and said, why are you kicking against the pricks? I'm the Lord. And now you got an office to go into the Gentiles. Wake up. All right? Wake up. Believe in me. Preach me. All right? And so Paul was like, because he was a Pharisee of the Pharisees. That's why some of the church, when he came and he was teaching Yahushua, they almost was like, wait a minute, wasn't he just trying to kill us? Now he talking about the Lord, Yahushua, and preaching and with zeal too. Hey, is this for real? All right. So Paul was saying, hey, if by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, and might save some of them. I might save some of those who at first didn't believe in Yahushua. You Jews who thought it was all about the law to make you righteous. All right. Maybe I could, provoke some of them by bringing in the Gentiles, the Israelite foreigners, to have faith in Yahushua. Okay. So it says, verse 15. It says, for if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, and what shall be the receiving of them be but life from the dead? So I want to get a few words and then a couple scriptures, or one word. So going to this Romans 11 and 15. Romans 11 and 15. We're going to get that. It says, for if the casting away of them, casting away of the Jews, be the reconciling of the world. All right. Reconciling. Okay. And that word is catalage, adjustment of a difference, reconciliation, restoration to favor. Okay? It says restoration, restore. Remember, we went into those words my last lesson. Reconcile, restore. Okay, so let's do that again. Now, this is reconcile, the definition of reconcile. We're going to hit this one. It says to restore. To restore a excommunicate or penitent to communion in a church. All right, that's what, look at this reconcile. Number 6. The definition of reconcile. All right, that number 6. So it says to restore a excommunicate. What does excommunicate mean? Excommunicate. It says to exclude or expel from membership or participation in any group, in any association, etc. It says, right. That's what an excommunicate is. To exclude or expel from membership. Okay? And the Israelite foreigners, they were excluded, they were expelled from membership of being a part of the Israelites and the commonwealth. All right? If you will, like the scriptures say. All right? Of Israel. All right? They were excommunicate. Okay? Excommunicated. All right? Although at one point they were with us. Okay? So reconciled, to restore, an excommunicate or penitent to communion in a church. All right? To restore a excommunicate, a descendant. All right? To restore a descendant from one of the 12 tribes of Israel who was excommunicated because of their disobedience, because of their following the laws and customs of another nation. All right. This is what this is going into. Okay. So, back in this, Romans 11:15. For if the casting away of them be the reconciling of, if the casting away of the Jews, because they of their unbelief in Yahushua, all right, be of them be the reconciling, the restoring back excommunicate, all right, restoring back someone who's already been here because he's one of us, all right, of the world, reconciling of the world. What shall be the receiving of them be but life from the dead? All right, life from the dead. And we're going to hit this scripture in Proverbs 21 real quick. This is Proverbs chapter 21 and 16. It says, the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. So if you wander out of the way of this understanding, just like we brought out in that Matthew, when a brother offend and I go give him the understanding of how he offended not only me, but offended our ways, all right, and I showed him how, all right, then he remained in the congregation of the dead if he didn't adhere and take heed to the church and those who were telling the truth, all right, with the true understanding. That's why it says, the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. You're going to remain in the congregation of these other nations who are called the dead, all right, actual heathen nations, okay, who were called the dead according to the scriptures. That's in it's Ephesians. Real quick. This is Ephesians chapter 2 and 1. It says, and you hath he quickened, which means made alive. And you hath he quickened. Now this is Paul speaking to the Israelites in Ephesus. All right. These Gentiles, okay, Israelite foreigner Gentiles who were Israelites, who were called uncircumcision, who were called Gentiles, who were called heathens, because of a particular reason. So it says, and you particular excommunicates, you particular Israelite foreigners, hath he quickened, who were dead in trespasses and sins, where in time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. See, they weren't separate from this world. They weren't holy. See, we're a holy people. We're a holy nation. We're separate from all other nations. But if you're doing the things of these other nations, then you're not separate. You're not holy. You're with the world. All right? See, but those Israelites who were going to have faith in Yahushua and be quickened, be made alive, who were dead in trespasses and sins. They were dead because they wandered out of the way of understanding, like we read in that Proverbs. So back in this Romans 11 and 15, it says, for if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead? All right. But life in this true one doctrine, this true one understanding. All right. That's going to give you life, that you were dead when you were doing the things of this world and these other nations. So same thing now. All right. Our people are the walking dead unless they are quickened and come back into the commonwealth of the nation of Israel by knowing first and foremost that you are Israelite. All right. And having faith in Yahushua. And if you're going to have faith in Yahushua, prove it by your works. All right. Prove it by the way you think, by the way you live, and being separate from this present evil world and these other nations. Okay. That's what it was all about. So continuing on, verse 17, it says, or 16, it says, for if the first fruit be holy, all right, and Yahushua was that first fruit, it says, then the lump also is holy. Okay. And Yahushua was from the tribe of Judah. All right. It says, for if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. And if some of the branches are broken off, and thou, being a wild olive tree, were grafted in among them, and thou, being a wild olive tree, let's get that. This is 11, Romans 11 and 17. Wild olive tree. It's one word, wild olive tree, from, get that? Wild olive tree. We're going to get that. G65. Of, or it's the Greek word agrileios, which is of or belonging to the oyster or wild olive, which is a compound word. So it says agrios, all right, agrios, which living or growing in the fields or woods of animals, wild, savage, of countries, uncultivated. All right. So remember, the field, like the scripture say, it says the field is the world. And then also it says of animals, wild, savage. Remember the vision that the four sheep, the knit sheep let down from the four corners, and there was all manner of wild beasts, creeping things, and all that it talks about, that parable. All right. And it was ultimately talking about men. All right. That wild olive tree, all right, was those growing in the fields. They were in the world. They weren't in Israel. All right. It says of animals, wild, savage, of countries, all right, of the other countries, all right, and wasn't cultivated by our wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in our ways. Okay. It says they were uncultivated. Okay. It says of men and animals in a moral sense, wild, savage, fierce. All right. So they didn't grow up with our customs and our ways. All right. So going back to this Romans 11:17, it says, and if some of the branches were broken off, so some of the branches, the Jews were broken off, all right, because of their unbelief in Yahweh Shai, they were broken off. It says, and thou, you Israelite foreigners, who were at one time called Gentiles, uncircumcision, all right, and thou being a wild olive tree, growing up in these other countries, and you being those a four-footed beast and creeping things that it talked about in that Acts chapter 10, all right, but it was saying that, hey, they're gonna be cleansed by the word. They're gonna be cleansed. Don't call them common or unclean. All right, because hey, what the Lord have cleansed, call not thou common. All right, talking about these Israelites. Okay, it says, were grafted in among them. So, matter of fact, and if some of the branches be broken off, and thou, being a wild olive tree, were grafted in among them, and with them partakest of the root and fatness of the olive tree. All right, partake of the root. Okay. And Yahweh Shai and the truth. Okay, it says, boast not against the branches. All right, don't boast against the Jews now that you coming in. It says, but if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. It says, thou wilt then say, the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. If you do that, if you think that way, then well. It says, because of unbelief, they were broken off. Because of unbelief, those particular Jews, like we talked about, those Pharisees, elders and high priests and so on and so forth, they were broken off because of unbelief. It says, and thou standest by faith, but you Israelite foreigners, you have faith in Yahweh Shai. Okay? It says, be not high-minded, but fear. It says, for if God spare not the natural branches, take heed lest he also spare not thee. All right. So he didn't spare the natural branches who were born in Israel, raised in the customs, spoke Hebrew. OK, if God spare not them, hey, take heed lest he spare not thee. Don't get high-minded, you Israelite foreigners, that you coming back and you have faith and now you partakers of the root and of the fatness. All right. It says, behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of God. On them which fail, severity, but toward thee, goodness, if thou continue in his goodness. Otherwise, thou also shall be cut off. All right? You Israelite foreigners, you could be, even though you brought back in and cleansed with the word, if you go wrong, if you don't endure to the end and doing what's right, then you could be cut off too. Verse 23, it says, and they also, and the Jews also, it says, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in. For God is able to graft them in again. All right. So, hey, even you Jews who got cut off because of your unbelief, if you repent and believe, then you can come back too. You can be grafted back in. All right. Because only those that could be, matter of fact, let me get that. Excuse me. Graft. It comes from the Greek G1461. And that 19. You see graft. Okay. G1461. Egkontrenzo. Egkontrenzo is the Greek word. And it means to cut into for the sake of inserting a scion. to cut into for the sake of inserting a scion. Now, we're going to go ahead and get scion. This is the definition of scion. I'm going to give it to you, and then I'm going to read it. Okay? So it says, a scion, a shoot or twig, especially one for grafting, to be grafted back in, right? A descendant. Remember we talked about descendant, all right? Those from another nation, descending, alophilos, the one descending from one of the 12 sons of the patriarch Jacob, all right? A descendant, okay, of one of the 12 sons of the patriarch Jacob, okay? It says, I'm gonna jump down to, it says figurative use is attested from 1580s in English, meaning an heir, a descendant from the family tree. That's what a scion is. One from the family tree. All right. One from your family tree is, I have children. Then my son, he have children. Then them sons have children. Then them sons have children. That's that family tree. I'm the progenitor, just like Jacob. All right. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob kicked off the 12 tribes of Israel. All right. So if you descend from one of those 12 sons, then you're an Israelite. You're a descendant of one of the 12 tribes of Israel, making you an Israelite. No matter if you were in this land, that land, you were called circumcision, uncircumcision, you were speaking this language, that language, you were practicing this custom or that custom, don't matter. If you a descendant from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and one of his 12 sons, making you a Hebrew Israelite, then you could be grafted in. No one else could be grafted in. Only a descendant. We just got it. We just read it. A descendant from the family tree. All right? The family tree could only be grafted in. We talking about, remember, Israelites. We read Israelites in the top. He said, has God cast away his people? No, he haven't cast away his people, because Paul said, hey, I'm an Israelite. So no, he didn't cast away his people. Okay? So, hey, no matter what, if you, whatever, if you didn't have faith and you got cut off, if you were Hellenized or Americanized and you got cut off, guess what? If you be cleansed by the word and truth, you can come back and be grafted into that tree. Just like when, even with plants, you know what I'm saying? You can look that up. When somebody is grafting a part of a plant into another plant, is from that same plant. It's from the same plant. It's the same kind of plant. Okay? You're not gonna get a ruscus plant, you know, and graft it into mink protea or whatever it's called, or rose or carnation or something. No. Only carnation twigs can be grafted into a carnation. Okay? So only an Israelite descendant from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and one of the 12 sons can be grafted into that bloodline, grafted into that family tree. Look it up. That's the only people that could be grafted in. Those who came from that stock. You can't get around it. All right? You cannot return to something where you never been. All right? See, those Israelites that were called Gentiles and uncircumcision and heathens, they from that. They got cut off though. Okay? But now they can come back in if they're going to believe, if they're going to have faith, if they're going to be holy or try their best to be. Okay? So, continuing on, verse 24, Romans 11:24, it says, "For if thou were cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these